All right, so here's another video in central administration that deals with the monitoring portion of central administration. So let's pull that up. If you go to central administration and click on monitoring, you'll be shown this screen, and you have three main bullet points here. You have the health analyzer, timer jobs, and reporting. So the health analyzer on central administration, you'll notice that whenever you load that site, sometimes, more often than not, you'll have a health analyzer alert at the top. And when you click on view these issues, you'll be taken to the page that this link takes you to. So basically it runs through certain rules that deal with how SharePoint should be set up. For instance, the unattended service account application ID has no specified or is not specified or has an invalid value. When you click on these items in the list, it'll take you to a page that gives you more information about that particular alert. It'll give you some of them you can set up automatically and clear automatically with a link in there. But it'll give you a title, the severity, the category, and the explanation of what the issue is. And it also gives you some Microsoft help links. So that's really all the health analyzer does. There are some good ones like availability, like drives are are at risk of running out of space. Distributed cache hosts may cause cache reliability problems. More cache hosts are in this deployment than registered with SharePoint. So these are all the specific issues. I haven't really gone into solving those, and I might do a video on that. But that's what the problems and solutions under monitoring is. It lets you go to that page and view it. Now, the rule definitions for that are pretty interesting. You can set up thresholds. So each of these items in the list here have a schedule. So whether they run daily or weekly, whether they're enabled, and whether you give it the option to repair automatically or if it has the option to repair automatically. So for instance, let's see, databases have fragmented indices. You can actually have SharePoint repair that automatically. So some of these can be resolved just by clicking a button, but this is where you can create a new item. You can delete rules out of this list so that it doesn't even check them. If there's like, for instance, in one of my production environments, it keeps telling us drives are at risk of running out of free space. And the rule for that is that if your drive has less than 2 times the amount of available RAM, then it can't perform a memory dump and continue normal operation. So it won't have enough room to dump its memory, but there are some things that have been said online that's not really necessary, and people that have done, in 20 years, they've only needed to send a memory dump to Microsoft twice, and it never resulted in anything. So some of these you can remove and set to where when you go to the problems and solutions page, they will not show up here. So you can set the alerts on that. That's what those rules let you do. Timer jobs. Timer jobs are what makes SharePoint tick, really. It's a job that's run at a certain time interval all the time. And it has specific ones. And the job definitions tell you what those jobs are and what they do, how often they run, and all this other stuff. So these are all jobs that the timer services run. Recycle bin, query logging, my site cleanup job. It tells you what web application they run on and then what the schedule type is. So our access services monitor job is disabled, but our analytics event store retention job is run weekly. This just tells you the definitions of the jobs that SharePoint runs. The job status tells you the status of those specific job definitions. So you can see the scheduled jobs, which are coming up, and when the start time will be. In the middle, you'll have running jobs. And when there's a job running, you can go in and any of these jobs, like upgrade site collections job, if I clicked on that, I can set the schedule for it. I can run it now. I could disable it. And then if it's a running job, you can actually delete it and stop it from running at that time. That usually won't have any major issues whenever you do that. I had a backup job hung up once that was keeping my farm from restoring. And whenever I canceled the job, I was able to rerun the backup rerun the restore job, and that let the farm continue normal operation. So sometimes you need to go into this page. It's a good page to know how to get to it and what to do with it. You can also view the history of jobs that have run. So it'll tell you the web application, the server, the duration, the status, and when it was completed. So that's the timer job status and the definitions. Now for reporting. Reporting's kind of interesting. I don't find it very useful, but some people might. Administrative reports have to do with reports that you can create and set up in here. So you could create a new document for a report, and it would basically be an Excel spreadsheet that pulls data from SharePoint. I don't use any of these at all, and I don't know that many people would. You can configure the diagnostic logging reports that you can say, what do you want to track? And then least critical event and all this other stuff. SharePoint logs stuff in the ULS logs anyway, so a lot of this is superfluous. Configure usage and health data collection. These are all things you kind of want to look and go through and make sure that if it's whatever it's storing in the ULS logs is being saved there. Okay. And health reports. Usage processing has to be enabled to view health reports. Like I said, I don't use any of these, and that might be one of my own downfalls, but I don't recommend anybody use those and needs to make sure they go in and do it. So let's see. I think that covers everything for monitoring. And really, there's not much to it. And there's not a lot to monitoring in SharePoint, but it's important to go over and know what that option in central administration is and does. So I hope that was informative. Be sure to check out our other videos.